Hey everybody, I'm going to do a quick little overview of computer fundamentals on the automobile, and we're going to go ahead and get going on this. So, just there's so many computers on cars, it's going to take a while to break them down one. So, this is going to be a multiple series, and also we're going to break just the computers down, and then we're going to also break down the different sensors and the different actuators as we go along. So like I said, this is going to be a multiple series. So look forward to it. Computers, they control all kinds of things: the ignition, the fuel, the emissions controls, the cooling fans, the air conditioning, compressor, torque converter, clutch in the transmission, and the transmission shift points also. So it's controlling a lot. The other computers can, either supplemental restraints, you get your analog brakes, traction systems, the interior air temperatures, and where it just gets distributed to. Then the suspension system, anti-theft. There's just a few of the different computers inside of cars right now, and we'll get into networking too. So how these all play in place. So the primary reasons that computers started being developed in cars was not so much for all the special extras like navigation and stuff like that. Really, it started off with the fuel economy and the emissions, and part of it was a requirement by the Bureau of Automotive Repair to actually get better emissions in cars. So they started off with controlling the ignition system and also the fuel control and the emissions to more precise control. Their attempt was starting to get it to be stoichiometric as much as possible, which is your magic number of 14.7 to 1. Then also they added in the transmissions, and then you had AC controls to actually help with better mileage and lower emissions on top of it all. So we're going to talk about the three different levels. We're going to talk about the processing unit, and we'll get into the inputs, sensors, and we'll get into the output devices or the actuators. The computer sometimes is known as the ECU, ECM, onboard control, powertrain control module. It really doesn't matter what it's called. It's basically a computer. It performs calculations, makes decisions, and constructed of different ICs or integrated controls. Incoming and data and from sensors is processed and then adjusted. Our adjustments are made to the output actuators. Permanent computer memory or non-volatile type memory is in the system too, and when you disconnect it, it saves that. And then there's read-only memory or ROM that tells the ECU what to do when a certain thing happens, and we'll get into mapping as we go along too. The ROM contains the general information used and kind of standard of the operation under certain conditions. So that's where the mapping comes in. Information cannot be modified in the ROM. Program a read-only memory is therein. We can actually go farther on specific models. We can actually have more information that we can actually, or the model specifications, information, stuff like that. And then we have what is the EEPROM. The EEPROMs, when it's actually can be reprogrammed like that. And there's like the EEPROM, which we'll get into later on. I don't want to overdo it at this point. So the computer receives input from various different types of engine sensors, and then it processes it, and then it takes that information from the actual ROM and the PROM, and then it makes some decisions, and it actually makes some kind of actions. So it'll change the fuel, ignition, emissions. So some of the basic ways it is, and also it can change the air conditioning, the brake system, and also the traction control. There's just a few of the things. There's two different functions, or pretty much, I want to say normal, and on the most of the vehicles, there's obviously what they call an open loop, where it actually when you're kind of warming up or you're going to full throttle, it'll actually go into open loop. And this is where it is under a pre-programmed mapping going on. Where we go into a closed loop, now we're getting to the point where we're actually closing that circuit. We're actually modifying after we get some back, feedback information. One way is, motors on your air conditioning can move, and it looks for an angle, and it says, okay, I'm at it, so now it stops. Or things like a fuel control, or the oxygen sensor says, yeah, we're right, good. Oh, no, we need to have more fuel or less fuel, like that too. And then some basic onboard diagnostic codes. This is the OBD2. I just pulled this up and kind of go over the early on. We actually had not that much I want to say not that many numbers to the code. So we actually had just like 2-digit codes, and these were very specific to the manufacturer. And then you could be working on one car, but it means something on another car. So they OBD standards said, okay, we got to get this down to a general type thing. So all technicians that are working on emission-related faults, they can't actually understand it. And then you're actually diagnostic could be separate by manufacturer, but at least we had some idea of what that code was. So they went into longer codes, and they broke it down to like the first digit was going to be either your body controls, your chassis controls, your powertrain, or your network controls. And then the next one would be if it was a generic or a manufacturer specific. So that was telling you, hey, you will need to have some kind of manufacturer software in your scan tool to see that kind of information. Or if it was generic, that was set up a lot for emissions related, so that it would actually be able to guide the smog technician to actually repair. And after that, it went into what system did it affect. So it actually, your fuel on air, your fuel and air injector circuit, your ignition system, your auxiliary emissions controls, and the vehicle speed controls, then went into computer output control, transmission. They had a couple for transmission, and this is just a basic. There's a lot more involved in it, but this is for vehicles that were 1996 and above. Before that, we did have in some vehicles OBD1, OBD1.5, which wasn't as precise. But after 1996, this was actually put in, and the manufacturers could have their own code volumes, but they had to have at least a generic side of it too. So some scan tools, they do both sides. They'll actually see the generic side, which is required, but they'll also have another side of it that was strictly for the manufacturer side of it. So some scan tools would have both of them in place. I'm not going to go too much over this, but I'm just kind of throwing this out there. Wanted to talk about a little bit about input sensors, and this is measuring the conditions of the engine and the drivetrain. So it's these different sensors that actually sense things going on. We'll break down the different sensors as we go along to actually give you an idea of how they actually work. And, are they a signal modifier, or are they a signal generator? So we'll break that down, and they send information into the computer, so the computer can actually decipher that and decide what to do with that information. They'll look up at this little little mapping, and they'll say, okay, at this and this and this, I need to have this and this and this going on. Then the sensors can actually put out different types of signals. Some of the sensors will put out a digital type signal. So these are ones and zeros, and it will actually, depending on the sensor, will have a 5-volt threshold or a 1 volt threshold. You could actually have a 12-volt threshold, but this is a digital type signal. Then we have analog signals. Analog signals are basically waveforms. Now, just we'll get deeper into this, but just a heads up that a computer does not like analog signals. We'll have to take that signal and change it into a digital signal. So you'll have analog to digital processors also in I would say most of your computers out there. So I hope this was beneficial. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. If there's anything else that you'd like to see, but please make sure you understand that there's signal. This series is going to be a multi-series type program, and I want to make sure you understand that before you say, "Hey, do us one on oxygen sensors," which we will be covering along with air fuel sensors too. So, like I said before, hope you enjoyed it, and we will be talking to you soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye for now.